It's another Sunday and another Laura Kuenssberg fail. To be honest, she's actually not that bad this week, and she did call out Kemi Badenoch for running scared of interviews.
In a fortnight, we'll find out whether Robert Jenrick or Kemi Badenoch will be the new leader of the opposition. Last week, Robert Jenrick was here and game enough to take your tough questions. Kemi Badenoch, despite our invitation to do the same, has so far declined.
However, she was clearly using lazy journalism. In one breath, she's asking, why haven't you fixed 14 years of Tory government in the space of 3 months? And when will you give us a date when you've fixed everything? Yes, we know you can't fix everything in 3 months, but then when are you going to give us a date to fix everything? She uses the lazy Tory trope of, you've had 14 years in opposition, why haven't you come up with a plan? Well, it's very simple. Plans change. Things move forward. A plan 14 years ago isn't going to be relevant today. Streeton goes on to explain he wants to involve the people delivering plans, which makes sense because that's what a good leader does. You don't dictate to them, you get them on board, you listen to them, and they help you deliver what you want to achieve. But there was a funny bit which I've added on the end, that made me smile anyway. And she actually thinks the Terminators are going to rise up and see humans on their knees singing Daisy Bell. And let me know in the comments if you got that reference.
How many extra appointments were there last week?
Well, we're ramping up right now. We don't get that kind of live data in real time, not least because the data needs to be validated. But we are ramping up, and I'm confident of that. What we will be doing in a matter of days is sending a crack team of clinicians into those hospitals in areas where not only are there high waiting lists, but high numbers of people who are both off work, off sick. And therefore, by bringing waiting lists down, we'll be helping people back to health and back to work.
Promise, which was a promise you made sitting in that chair to our viewers. You can't tell us at the moment how many extra appointments there are, but are you confident?
There's a bit of a lag time, but we are ramping up.
And so by when will you hit that target?
I will come back in the 1 year anniversary of the Labour government and tell you whether or not we've been able to deliver the 2 million more appointments in the first year of a Labour government.
Let's talk then about another one.
Just to kind of emphasise on this point though, when we came in, without the immediate action taken by the Chancellor, I would have had to tell the NHS to slow down.
But our audience wants to hear how you're getting on with these specific promises.
Yeah,
so that was just one of them we've dealt with. So another one was 700,000 extra dental appointments. How have you got on with that? Because we've checked with the British Dental Association. They've said there's been no progress and there can't be any progress till you sort out their contract.
I think it's a fair challenge to say we're not going to fix NHS dentistry without fixing the contract. We got them in, as I promised, the Monday after the general election. I can't promise to fix 14 years of NHS crisis in 3 months or even one budget, one spending review, but we have hit the ground running.
But you did promise our viewers there would be 700,000 more appointments. So by when will that happen?
I don't want to get ahead of the budget and the spending review, but this is why...
Your budget settlement is done. We know that. You're one of the few ministers who's been out there. So by when will you tell people that promise will be kept?
But this is why, I'm not getting ahead of the budget and the spending review, but this is why before the election, when we were being criticised and saying, like, why aren't you making more promises? Why aren't you making more spending commitments? We ensured that the promises we made were promises we could keep and promises the country could afford. And despite the challenges we've walked into, every single promise that we made, not just on health, but right across the board, are promises that we will keep, mate, and we'll keep on coming back and reporting on progress.
But will you give us a date?
Not this morning, I won't, because I'm not going to create hostages to fortune.
Okay, and this is the point about by when people can expect a difference. I mean, nobody expects you to transform the country in 4 months. We're in the 4th month of government. But people, I think, can expect to know when you're going to keep these promises. You said you'd double the number of scanners in hospitals. When are you going to do that?
Well, as you'll see in the budget, when it's out, one of the things that the Chancellor and I have chosen to prioritise, because we've got a whole number of crises across the public sector, not just in the NHS, and one of the things that we've prioritised during the budget round is making sure that we're taking steps, particularly on capital and tech, that will enable us to run a more productive and more efficient NHS so that we get both better outcomes for patients but also better value for taxpayers' money.
It's tricky for you to hide behind the budget. I'm just pointing out to viewers, they will have heard it themselves. You won't put a date on when you'll keep these promises, and that's important.
With respect, Laura, I would understand the cynical line of questioning if we were a few years into the Labour government, we hadn't delivered anything. We're a few months into a Labour government. We've ended the junior doctor strikes, better for patients and better for taxpayers. We're paying a huge amount in the cost of the strikes and the cost of patients of delayed operations, appointments, procedures.
Well, you mentioned strikes there.
1,000 more GPs onto the front line. Real action on public health, firstly with the junk food ad ban targeted children, but we've got the smoking bill coming before Parliament shortly. We've got a mental health bill that's also ready to go.
What is the risk?
The risk of what?
Well, what is the risk if it doesn't develop in the right way? You know, if AI controls us, as you said, you know, you've laid out that choice between us controlling AI or AI controlling humans.
It sets our civilization back hundreds of years. We no longer live in a democracy. We no longer have rights and
freedoms. It's the Terminator movies. It's all shorthand for Skynet Terminator movies, isn't it? That's the worst outcome is something like that, isn't it?
We need legislation.
I don't know.
We need primary legislation, as they now have in Europe. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but in the end, there will have to be treaties around this.
Last week, Laura Kuenssberg was quite happy to spread lies live on air, which you can see her doing in the video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.